There are a countless number of games that have been made in the RPG Maker engine, and sifting through all of the entries to find the ones really worth playing is a daunting task. Luckily enough, I've done all the required digging and found a diamond in the rough that really shines amidst all of the competitors. You see this? This is mine. This is where my babies will come from, and I'll be damned if I have to share them with more than just that fish bitch. It's such an anime. It's awesome. Radiant Arc is a JRPG-style game made in the RPG Maker game design engine. I recently picked it up on Steam, and after about 24 hours or so, I completed all of the optional quests and the main story. I enjoyed the writing, and the combat is solid, even if the game becomes somewhat easy if the player explores everything the game has to offer. Combat and the systems surrounding it are a high point of Radiant Arc. 6 party members on the field is a little daunting at first, but after understanding all of the skills, powerful combinations start to stand out. Also, the best part is, all of the party members are viable in combat and bring something a little different to the table. Being able to switch out party members and equip on the fly makes combat fluid, and you never feel like you've brought the wrong team or equipment to battle. Equipment and character builds go hand in hand because a lot of the pieces of equipment have passive abilities. This makes finding new gear exciting because it means the player isn't just chasing higher numbers. Some of my favorite passes were an HP barrier on a shield, HP and MP regions on accessories, and life drain on weapons. With the gear and the diversity of usable skills, different styles of play are viable throughout the entirety of the game. My play, for example, I initially built a high HP and high defense stat tank, and midway moved over to a stun lock and evasion based tank near the end. Increasing the amount of skills you have access to is simple. You purchase them with points earned when leveling up or from rare potions that give a few points to spend. Certain lower level skills are replaced with a more powerful version to make it so that your skill list isn't too full, which is a good thing because there's a little bit of a bloat with all of the available skills as it is. However, a lot of skills have multiple effects, so it's fun to pair them together to make devastating combos to beat bosses down. The best way to level up for skill points and to find the gear with the best innate abilities is to tackle the large amount of side dungeons. While most of the optional dungeons just contain interesting gear with the previously mentioned innate passive abilities, some of them also further the different subplots of the individual characters. None of these are required to complete, but having those stories attached to some of the dungeons allows for the optional content to carry more weight instead of just being a loot hunt. Also, there are some funny references amidst these dungeons that range from Final Fantasy to Overwatch. Some memes and other comedic content is injected into the optional dungeons, which showcases something very important to me about Radiant Arc. It's not trying to be anything more than what it is. Radiant Arc showcases its anime roots and influences, and that aids in how the player is expected to engage with the story. Overall, it's about the struggle between good and evil and how the characters come together and overcome their enemies. Whether or not a player will enjoy the story is completely subjective. However, the story is structured very well. It follows a pattern where the character overcomes a smaller evil related to the big bad's plan, and then a moment where they debrief and assess the situation. This pattern repeats for the new members that join the party, and in between this formulaic approach, many comedic moments and interpersonal conversations occur that make all of the characters likable in their own way. All of these lead to, and build upon, the character's desires and stakes for wanting to kill the evil villain. I personally never felt concerned with the villain succeeding, and my enjoyment of the story did not come from investment in the stakes, but from my desire to see the characters prevail. This is because they were all designed and characterized so well. Each character filled a specific role in the party: the pessimistic hero, the optimistic love interest, the wise old-timer, the stoic savior, or the emotionally devoid for the greater good. Yes, these characters do embody specific tropes, but they are written well enough to where I find that being a trope is not enough of a reason to dislike or discredit them. Being different for the sake of being different does not automatically make something good. Remember, archetypes became archetypes for a reason. It's because they are universally relatable, or at the very least, understandable. And both of those things are important to telling a story, and Radiant Arc gets both of those things down in spades. All in all, Radiant Arc is a solid JRPG that does not attempt to distance itself too far from its predecessors and influences, all while still managing to have its own identity. I enjoyed my time with Radiant Arc, and I think it's worth giving it a try. And Midway moved over to a stunlock and evasion-based tanked near the end. Tanked. Fuck! Many comedic moments and interpersonal conversations occur that make all of the